so little of it is based on what customers are saying, customers are are telling us. So if you can get that research, get that voice of customer and that insight, you should be able to make those ads better, because you're actually putting the words that they want to hear in front of them. Another client I used to work with was a pillow for neck pain, and we always kind of just talked about neck pain, shoulder pain, and that it helps with that. And what we found out through interviews was that it's kind of the neck pain is the problem, but people aren't buying the pillow to solve neck pain. They're buying the pillow to relieve the neck pain, to allow them to do something. There was always kind of that extra thing at the end. The real reason why, it's why the neck pain is a problem. That's what we needed to be targeting. So that started to introduce messaging around, spending more time with your children, right? Because we actually had people saying to us they always feel, absolutely exhausted in the evening because they spend all day just dealing with this neck pain. So they're trying to relieve the neck pain in order to be able to do X. Or it might just be something like play golf, right? Relieving neck pain is good, but really there's always something else that the neck pain is blocking them doing. So that's the bit we need to discover. And so just one other thing regarding those teams, in so many companies it is siloed, right? PPC does its thing, social media does its thing, email does its thing. Customer service is also always one of those silos. And I think it's such a missed opportunity for so many brands to actually be getting the insight from customer service, distributing it to these other channels so we can actually, make some use of it. Because you've got a constant flow of, customer problems, right? I bought this product, it doesn't work for me, right? Find out, and then you can, discover why it's not working for them, what they expected in the first place, how they're using that product. And that might tell you, well, we need to include better instructions with it. Or you might get loads of people contacting the business saying, with the same question, right? I need to know this about this product, right? And a lot of the time, customer service just answers that question and that's it, and it disappears. But actually, if you said, well, 15% of our customer inquiries are this problem, this question, get it over to someone like me, for CRO, get it on the website, answer that question where the customer needs to see it, and then you just get the conversion. Because the number of people who contact you with that question or concern is going to be a fraction of the number of people who have that question or concern, but the majority of them are bounced.
Hello, and we are live at the CVO Live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode. I'm here with Will Laurenson. Hi, Will. How's it going?
Hello, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
All good here on our side of the planet. So, Will, why don't you describe a bit about what you're doing? Because you've had quite a run, so I think the best would be to introduce yourself, and then we'll get started in our episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Will Laurenson from UK. I'm a conversion rate optimization consultant for eCommerce brands. Kind of got into it because I used to work in startups, worked through probably about 4 or 5, had one of my own as well. And in these startups, kept finding that same problem, which was we were given fairly decent budgets to spend on advertising and told, go grow the company. And it was kind of the expectation that spending money on ads was the way to grow a business. And as I'm sure you can imagine, we kept coming across problems, and the same problems. It was conversion, sometimes a bit difficult, and retention was difficult. And it was always because the product itself or the website didn't do the job correctly. So I started to move more into kind of product marketing, I suppose. Work closely with the product and development teams to say, well, this is the feedback we're getting from our customers. This is what our customer data is saying. We need to make sure that our app or our website or our products actually fit the needs of our customers. So I kind of started to just almost naturally fall into CRO. I suppose, through that. And then one of my last roles was head of conversion for a gaming company here in the UK. And then, yeah, in November 19, I decided to go off and do it by myself.
Excellent. So, Will, as we are at this new shift which is happening in the market, how do you see customer lifetime value unfolding and becoming a North Star metric? Because as we look behind, the marketers had quite a run, right? So they've just added new creatives and they've pushed some buttons, used some sliders in Facebook and Google ad networks, and they hit their targets. Nowadays, it's not that simple. So I want you to tell us, how do you see this transition happening? How do you see it there in the UK?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm seeing several businesses that are like AOV is less than £100, and they're struggling, right? Because the AOV is not high enough. They've got the cost of acquisition, all their staff costs, product costs, and everything, and so it is getting tough for them. And if they're not able to bring people back properly, through whatever email marketing, SMS, or just people naturally coming back, they're really going to struggle, because that's where they're having to make the profit. It's almost like they have to make the profit on second, third purchase, because it just doesn't exist on the first purchase. Right?
Yeah.
That's how the margins are low on the products. The advertising has got harder. The margin just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, so that's basically what's happening across the world. So I'm in contact with multiple agencies and e-commerce and retailers. So it looks like we are at the whole new level in the e-commerce game. So while so far we played it at the, let's say, medium and difficult, now it's turning into a nightmare, as we have more companies competing for the same eyeballs. If we look at what's happening, because it's not like we have possible customers from Mars, from other planets, right? So yeah, please, Will,
I also think we've had two, like you say. So previously, it was really easy to run advertising. Anyone could just set up a Facebook account, stick some ads up, and probably make decent money. So we had that kind of boom where advertising was easy, right? You could, without much knowledge, you could acquire customers for your business. You could make money. Then we had the COVID boom, right? So more and more, everyone had to go online. More and more business started opening up, so that crowded the space as well. And so I think there's a bit of a mix of overcrowding, which obviously pushes up prices, but also a lack of kind of experience and knowledge, which means that a lot of people are thinking, well, the one you hear now a lot is Facebook marketing. Facebook's dead, right? It's not dead. You've got to do it properly. So I think there's a lot of noise coming from people who are probably getting burnt because their business grew on the basis of COVID and that explosion of growth we saw in e-commerce, and that growth is kind of disappearing. We're still getting growth, but I've seen some graphs which show that we are kind of back to where we should have been, like kind of now, if COVID hadn't happened. So instead of that massive spike happening and then just continuing, which is what a lot of inexperienced people think would happen, actually things kind of leveled out for about a year, I think. And now we're actually where we should have been if COVID hadn't happened.
Yeah, for sure. So, Will, if we are to go a bit further in our conversation, it's clear that customer lifetime value matters. It's clear that companies are starting to wake up to this new reality where they are, let's say, not profitable from the first purchase. So that means they should focus on the second or the third, and to increase these parameters called purchase frequency, customer retention. How do you see people understanding the customer lifetime value? Because it's a concept which many are misunderstanding it. So basically, there are companies which are confusing this with the revenue per customer that they have accumulated historically. Some of them think that this is This should take into account the net margin, which is misleading because sometimes you just acquire very large stocks, and few are the companies which are getting this correctly. What's your take on the level of understanding of what actually customer lifetime value is? Because everyone talks about it, but few are getting it right.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen multiple models for it and ways of calculating what that lifetime value is. And yeah, I think what most people tend to do is total sales divided by total customers.
Yeah.
Right. And that's, how much money you've made per customer, which I suppose as not even a guideline metric, as a rough health check metric, maybe that's okay.
Yeah,
But
an
it's the same.
indicative one.
It's the same as with average order value, really, right? Average order value itself is not that useful a metric, in my opinion, because depending on your business, right, you might get some people who spend a couple of hundred or even a couple of thousand, and then you've also got a lot of customers who are spending 50, right? So your average order value might be, I've had it before with clients where average order value was about 45 pounds. But that was lifted by a number of people who were buying multiple pieces at the same time, five or six items. The actual median order value was just under £29, right? So this all came about because we were looking at what that free shipping threshold should be. And it was initially set at 70 because 70 was trying to lift that average order value of 45 pounds up. But actually, the vast majority of people were so far below that average at that £70 threshold that they weren't gonna nudge to get there.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of same with lifetime value, right? You're gonna get some people who will come back again and again. They will just keep buying from you. They love your business. You're gonna get some people who only come back with a discount. And obviously you've got your one and dones. Right. There's such a range of people in there. So, I think smaller business, earlier stage businesses, I wouldn't worry too much about it in terms of like segmenting it all and trying to figure it all out. But yeah, definitely once you get to a certain size, you've got to be looking at these different segments and thinking, right, what's the way I approach it is what's the value I can get from this segment? So there's certain segments where you'll say, cool, we can get more money from these people because they're our good customers. So let's just keep them going. They're going to keep coming back and purchasing. Then I would look at those one and dones. I would look at those discount purchases and I'd say, well, the one and dones don't come back. That's why they're one and dones. And the discount purchases only come back for a discount. Why? Right. So the value, the kind of extra value you get from them is the
value
why.
It's clear it's not there. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't they come back? Why do they only buy with a discount? You can get that, understand that. That's what I do with CRO, right? Conversion rate optimization, gather that feedback, work out how to make the products more enticing, the website better, and hopefully more of those people will turn into regular customers.
Yeah, Will, you've touched a few subjects, and I want to unpack these insights. First of all, is that as average order value, customer lifetime value, it's an average and can be misleading as well. So that's why you need to do segmentation. As you know, I'm a big fan of RFM. I've been applying this for years now, and what I've understood is that you can indeed, when you cluster your customers according to how recently, how frequently, and what's their monetary value, you can understand that they have common behaviors, and you can drill down into customer research. You are coming from the conversion rate optimization world, where the brief is, let's see how we can influence the behavior by changing the website, by doing this kind of experiments on the website. But those experiments, of course, can be made on other part of the customer journey as well, because your work in the CRO and the whole industry of CRO is, from my perspective, the most advanced and way ahead other type of marketing activities, because it takes into account the psychology, the data, and it has the experimentation mindset. What I want to address together with you a bit is how you do this type of research, because there were some interesting questions, and how do you see this unfolding in the future, because right now the website enough is not enough. It's clear that if you want to increase the customer lifetime value, is not only changing the website, because you need to get people back to the website, right? So you need other channels like email, SMS, whatever, even postcards, right?
Yeah. I'm a believer, and this is a what's the word I'm looking for? I've gone blank. Perfect situation, right? Ideal situation. If you convince someone that this is the perfect product for them, it's going to solve the problem that they are looking for help with, and you can convince them that you are the perfect business to buy that from, then they should buy your product, and every time they have a need, that same need, they should come back to you. Right?
Yeah.
Ideal situation doesn't happen because people forget who you are. Next time they need it, they tend to do a Google search. But you can get ahead of the competition by just focusing on that. Right? Is this the right product for that person? Are we the right business to buy it from? Your conversions will go up. Yeah, people will start coming back. I've kind of forgotten your question.
Yeah, my question is, how do you see
there.
this unfolding in the future right now, as the website is clear that it's just a channel where the visitors are already there. However, leveraging the research, leveraging the
research,
the insights that you have towards why they are coming back, what makes them appreciate and value the product, it's clear that in order to optimize the entire customer journey, it's clear that you need to address the customers on different channels.
Yeah. So to touch on what you said earlier and just then, I suppose, the way I see it, CRO doesn't just involve A/B testing on a website, right? That's not all we're here for. There's so many opportunities, because at the end goal is lifetime value, right?
Yeah.
I can drive huge numbers of conversions by sticking some scarcity on the website, urgency with a timer, big discount, free shipping, free, lifetime returns, all these incentives and things, which will get you sales, get you conversions, but your lifetime value is going to plummet because a lot of these people aren't going to come back. They're not real customers. So yeah, a big part of it is you've got that on-site conversion, like I said, is this the right product for them? Is it the right business for them? But then you've got the activation side. So once someone has that product in their hand, how can you optimize that experience, right? What do they need help with? Perfect example, I used to work with a custom PC building company. So people are spending, maybe £2,000-3,000 on a PC. And what we found was a lot of them, their knowledge was actually relatively low. So even though they are picking the individual components for that PC, their actual knowledge wasn't that great. So a lot of them did want help with the setup and maintenance and kind of the next steps. So we simply added a little postcard into the box with the PC with a QR code. They scan the QR code. It takes them to a website where it says, this is how you set up your PC. This is how you maintain your PC. This is how you contact us if you need it. And then we were looking at some other things like, here are some software that you might find useful and that sort of thing. And that just helped kind of boost the activation of customers in a way. So it boosted reviews, it boosted referrals and things like that. So that's an example of kind of how CRO can help with that, the activation of a customer, making sure they're happy after the purchase. To answer your question on the research, there's two forms that I take with it. There's kind of on-site surveys, so 3 on-site surveys, email surveys, and interviews. And they all kind of have slightly different purposes, and I feel like they all kind of stack as well. So I tend to use email surveys to get a bit of an overview of the situation, like what people are having problems with. So if it's an email survey to non-customers, it'll be, what's the main reason you haven't made a purchase? What's important to you in these sort of products? Maybe a couple of the questions. For customers, it tends to be, what was the most important thing about this product? What problem were you looking to solve? Or what job were you looking to do? Getting that qualitative feedback to then approach the customer interviews, because that's when you really go into depth on the customer's needs, but also you do fewer of them, right? you're only going to speak to 10, 20 customers, whereas you can get an email response from, maybe a couple of hundred. So I kind of, approach it from a more mass, a mass approach, gather that insight, know where to target what we're targeting, and then get that real kind of voice of customer in the interviews themselves. So I find that's a really good way of approaching things. Obviously, it helps if you've got a kind of blockage or something in mind as well. Like if you feel, if you're looking at your enhanced e-commerce data, for example, and you can see that your add to cart rate is really low, but your product views is really high, that kind of gives you an area to start with, right? Why do people view products but not add them? Or it might be, why do loads of people add a product to cart and then not purchase? So what's really stopping them at that stage? And that just gives you a little bit more focus to go into with the surveys and interviews.
Yeah. Will, I wanted to ask you something regarding the way you are doing this type of interviews. You've said that you have these free ways, let's say online, email, and in-person interviews, or maybe remote interviews where you are actually talking with the customers. How you are recruiting this, and who do you decide to ask? Are you looking to do you use a segmentation method so that you can see the feedback coming from your the loyal customers, or from the one-time purchasers? How do you select those?
So quite often we'll start with just two segments. There'll be recent customers, so recent first-time customers. So people who have bought probably within the last 30 days. Depending on the business, we might extend that a little bit to 60. So for example, the PC client, it's big purchase, it's low frequency, high purchasing, not intent, consideration. So the numbers are a bit lower. So we might extend it to 60 days to get the numbers in. And it also target people who got onto the email list within the last 30 to 60 days, but haven't made a purchase. So that's, targeting those, right? You potentially didn't know about our business before. For some people, they come to the website and just buy, or they've done the research and stuff, but it's your first experience with this business, buying from this business, what was going through your head, and that's kind of exploring what was going on that meant you wanted this sort of product. And then a bit of, how were you convinced to purchase this? What was it about this product, about this website that convinced you? And then for the non-purchasers, it's kind of a similar approach, but obviously, speaking to someone who hasn't made that purchase yet. So it's still, what intrigued you at the time? What caused you to, I don't ask this exact question, but essentially what caused you to get onto this company's database 30 days ago, but you didn't make a purchase?
That's right.
All right. What's holding you up? Yeah.
So what I'm getting to recap a bit, Will, from you. You are looking for the first-time buyers that bought pretty recently, so that they have fresh in their minds the buying experience and the product experience. What kind of insights have you unfolded that you can share with us? I mean, something that led to a breakthrough, or to something that was basically improving the websites.
Yes. So one of my clients in CBD. So actually, the original idea for this and why I kind of went down this route of questioning came from reviews. So I saw some reviews which had mentioned the flavor of CBD, particularly that they enjoyed the flavor of this company's CBD, and that a lot of other CBD tended to be bitter, or didn't have a nice taste to it. So because that came up in a couple of reviews, I thought, all right, this must be something worth looking into. So just as part of these interviews, so it wasn't a sole focus on the flavor, but we kind of pushed for that sort of information, see what they thought of the product itself. And we started to get people describing the flavor to us. And so not only did it kind of tell us, well, all right, flavor is really important for us. We need to start testing some messaging around flavor, but actually it was really important to get the wording that they use so that we can describe the flavor correctly. Because initially we got this wrong with the test. One of the products worked well. One of the
Mhm.
products didn't work well, and it was down to the fact that we didn't describe it how customers were describing the flavor. So we did some surveys. We spoke to some people and found out how they actually described the flavor, and then it kind of all made sense. The way we described it initially was a bit not off-putting, but it was like a very specific. If I don't think I'm going to like that, I'm not going to buy it. Whereas we went into a bit of a vaguer. We talked about it as having more of a warming flavor, warming, energizing flavor, and that seemed to work better than the very specific. This is the actual flavor of it.
Mhm. So basically, it's an important aspect to have to drill down into detail. So what I'm hearing is that your methodology takes into account other things that you can harvest, let's say from the brand itself, from the company itself, which means the reviews are a good source of data so that you can identify possible routes, to further investigate and to understand the importance of certain aspect, like in this case the flavor. I've been hearing many stories regarding the fact that not only the what it's written on the website. So because we as marketers, we talk in some manner, but the customers are distilling their experience and they use a totally different wording. Actually, this type of research that you are doing is part of our CVO methodology as well. So which starts with the customer segmentation, and then it goes to identifying what makes the loyal customers become loyal, what stops the former loyal customers to continue buying, what attracts the new passions, as we call them, the ones with the highest purchase the highest customer lifetime value, despite the fact that they have a single order. And once you know these type of things, you can affect the entire experience. It's clear that as I'm looking to the market, the let's say the boundaries between CRO and email marketing and data analysis and ads acquisition are starting to become not so strict anymore. We are seeing this in the agency space. We are seeing some consolidation happening. Many agencies are doing this merge with other ones. Let's say email with data, CRO with email and data and so on. So what I think it's happening is that we are assisting at something which is crucially important for the brands, as the brands are not uh, there in terms of profitability. What they are asking for their agencies and consultants, of course, is make me help us continue to have a thriving business, help us generate impact no matter the channel. And that's what I think needs alignment between the agencies. And that's why I think the either having a syndicated approach, right? You work with the fantastic ad agency and with the very good data analysis team and with a very good researcher and a CRO team, and those ones are addressing the helping the brand. Either you go to a, let's say, full service agency which is getting all of those channels, and hopefully enough they can help improve the entire business. Because I think what is neglected, and correct me if I'm wrong, one of the most neglected areas in the last 20 years was customer research. So everyone could throw some creatives on Facebook, and then they tweaked those creatives without getting feedback from the customers.
Yeah, so little of it is based on what customers are saying. Customers are are telling us. So if you can get that research, get that voice of customer and that insight, you should be able to make those ads better, because you're actually putting the words that they want to hear in front of them. Another client I used to work with was a pillow for neck pain, and we always kind of just talked about neck pain, shoulder pain, and that it helps with that. And what we found out through interviews was that it's kind of the neck pain is the problem, but people aren't buying the pillow to solve neck pain. They're buying the pillow to relieve the neck pain to allow them to do something. There was always kind of that extra thing at the end. The real reason why, it's why the neck pain is a problem. That's what we needed to be targeting. So that started to introduce messaging around, spending more time with your children, right? Because we actually had people saying to us they always feel, absolutely exhausted in the evening because they spend all day just dealing with this neck pain. So they're trying to relieve the neck pain in order to be able to do X, or it might just be something like play golf, right? Relieving neck pain is good, but really there's always something else that the neck pain is blocking them doing. So that's the bit we need to discover. And so just one other thing regarding those teams, like, in so many companies it is siloed, right? PPC does its thing, social media does its thing, email does its thing. Customer service is also always one of those silos. And I think it's such a missed opportunity for so many brands to actually be getting the insight from customer service, distributing it to these other channels so we can actually, make some use of it. Because you've got a constant flow of, customer problems, right? I bought this product, it doesn't work for me, right? Find out, and then you can, discover why it's not working for them, what they expected in the first place, how they're using that product. And that might tell you, well, we need to include better instructions with it. Or you might get loads of people contacting the business saying, with the same question, right? I need to know this about this product, right? And a lot of the time, customer service just answers that question and that's it, and it disappears. But actually, if you said, well, 15% of our customer inquiries are this problem, this question, get it over to someone like me, for CRO, get it on the website, answer that question where the customer needs to see it, and then you just get the conversion. Because the number of people who contact you with that question or concern is going to be a fraction of the number of people who have that question or concern, but the majority of them are bounced.
I think an aspect which is important here, Will, is regarding the amplitude of the impact that such a research can produce to companies. We have, on one hand, we have let's say startups, small D2C companies which are looking to penetrate the market, and they are very agile. But on the other hand, we have larger companies which are on the lookout to establish an e-commerce function, align the logistics, the processes, the everything to make sense with that. And I want to touch a bit the another pillar of the customer value optimization, which is customer experience itself. Because let's say once you understand what your positioning should be, what your messaging should be around the product, and let's presume that the products are there in terms of the quality and fulfilling the promise. One important aspect is customer experience itself. I mean, how you wrap the product, in what kind of feelings you manage to wrap the product that you are selling. So I want to touch a bit this subject, and how do you see the importance of customer experience in improving the customer lifetime value?
Yeah, I think it's really valuable. From, I mean, the moment they're on site, really. But let's say someone's made that purchase, it's those post-purchase communications, right? How informed do you keep that customer? How much information do you give them? How much do you educate them to make sure that they are, comfortable that their product's going to arrive on time? You've got to deal with anxiety constantly throughout the process, right? And firstly, it's, all right, have I actually placed my order? Cool, I've got an order confirmation email. Brilliant. Where is my order? Have I got a shipping email? Have I got a tracking page? Can I see this information? And then when it turns up, it can literally be, right, what do I do now? How do I actually use this? Right. Trying to think of an example I've got on my table. I think it does say how much you're supposed to take, but I've got these supplements, and the ingredients are not on the supplements bottle. You have to go to their website. And now I know that I'm not going to understand most of the ingredients on there anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But obviously what I want to know is, how many of these do I take? How many times a day? Right? with anything like supplements, pills, any of that sort of stuff, one of the key pieces of information is going to be how much do I take and how often. So if that information isn't there, I'm immediately thinking, well, I can't start using this until I have that information, right? So that could come in emails and things, but ideally it's going to be on the bottle, on the packaging. And it's not just limited to that. It's can literally be anything, like this microphone I've got in front of me, right? It's a fairly decent microphone, short, on a stand, right? Make sure there are instructions in the box how to set this up, not just the setup, physically, but also how do I attach, how do I connect it to the PC? How do I make sure that it runs properly? There's all this, once you've got that product in someone's hands, what are the next questions they're going to be asking? So
themselves.
come back to come back to the PC example, right? We gave people information on how to maintain the PC, right? So a lot of brands stop at the purchase, right? You've bought it, you've got it, there you go. Maybe some instructions on how to use it. But we were thinking, right, how do we make sure that this person's thinking 6 months down the line, oh, I haven't cleaned it, I haven't done anything with this PC, what do I need to do? The information's there, they can go get it. And when they know that, it means that potentially, every 6 months they come back to my client's website and have that touch point with the client again. So in 3-4 years' time, when they come to buy a new PC, they've already got a brand in mind because they've had those constant touch points.
Yeah. One things to add here, Will, which I think it's important to touch, is that many companies think that once they've sold the products, their job is done. So once they ship the products, their job is done. But this is very far from reality, because picture this: you as a customer, you have a problem and you are looking for a solution. You have an itch and you are looking for something to solve that itch. And while we as customers are buying things and we are investing money in order to get those things, those products, those services, on the other hand, the companies, when they are looking at their results, they are looking at money in the bank, they are looking at profit, they are looking at revenue, and they are not looking at the satisfaction of the customers that bought their products. And I think this disconnection produces so much frustration, and that's why companies, they sound like broken records, blasting their audiences, their clients, with new products to buy, new discounts, new promos. But on the other hand, they are not, let's say, sorting their problems, sorting out their problems that they should be aware of if they've closed the loop with the customer and understanding, have I shipped you the right product? Does it fit you? Do you make progress with that product? Was it okay in terms of the delivery time? Was the package well made? So those type of questions the companies are not asking themselves, and what they do, they keep on sounding like broken records. And I'm not talking only by small companies, because there are large companies as well, because things like they do this NPS research, for instance, but they don't drill down into those responses. They don't look at the detractors stating, okay, well, let's do an analysis. If they have too many, to use some NLP to extract the insights from there. If they don't have enough responses, they might count on a sample which is not big enough, because they don't apply statistical significance to the number of responses that they are getting in relation with the number of orders that they have shipped. And I think this disconnection is a huge opportunity, to be honest, for many retailers and e-commerce companies. It's just that they do what they have always done.
Yeah, so I've worked with clients where we've implemented emails post-purchase, which exactly what you said, right? It's is everything okay with your order? If they haven't got shipping tracking in place, it might start with, you should have received your order by now. If not, give it a couple of days and then contact us, whatever. But yeah, is everything okay with your order? Is it as expected? Did you get everything? Do you have any questions about how to use the products? A helpful email, right? But as I'm sure you're aware, most companies, 7 days after you've made that purchase, you get an email asking you to review the product. And that's it. Sometimes that's the first email you receive from a company after you've purchased. And they don't care it's like they don't care, right? They don't actually care whether you're happy with the order. They just want you to do the review. They're going to assume you're
Yeah,
happy, and it's what the company wants and what the company needs, isn't it? That's where brands go wrong. It's where every step of the way they're thinking, right, we need to implement this. Why? Because we need to gather more reviews, right?
yeah.
That's the wrong way of thinking about it. It's we should be making sure this customer is happy so that they leave a review.
Yeah, make an experience so compelling, so cool that they feel obliged to do it. But those things are not questions that marketers and companies ask themselves, and it all starts with asking you the right questions, right? So, Will, I wanna move a bit further from what we discussed so far, and I want to ask you something which is more related to the uh, uh, let's say future of the CVO space. So how do you see this unfolding? How do you see companies adopting this new way of thinking? Because at the end of the day, it's how they think, right? And we have the decision makers within the organizations, and we have of course people which are pushing change from bottom up. We also have inspired leaders. We are seeing some fantastic companies, very customer centric, uh, uh, building together with the customers better products, better experiences, and so on. But how do you see the future of this space?
Yeah, I think it's one where it's going to take time. Um, a lot of companies want the instant impact, right? Every action they take, especially smaller companies, every action they take needs to have an ROI quickly, and
Yeah,
that approach makes CVO difficult because some of
hmm,
the actions that you're going to take, some of the things you need to do to work on CVO, doesn't give you an immediate impact, right? All
yeah,
this, even just working on the organizational side of things, right? And saying, well, we need to stop being siloed teams. We need to be, one team sharing information and stuff. That requires a change, and change is difficult, right? People
yeah,
don't like change. So you're going to have those. I was going to say, I guess, experienced and older people in the industry, but it's not even that. It's you're going to have a type of person who is always going to push back on that. Maybe they've done it for years, or maybe they read a blog or did a course or something, but they know how it should be done, and they just want to get on and do their thing. Really need to. You've got to get rid of those people. To be honest, you've got to have people who are willing to work together and work for the company and not just their own metrics, because that's where things start to go wrong, and that's
yeah,
where blame starts to get thrown around. So I think it's I guess it's education, it's buy-in from people, and it's I guess how we started about that. The client, businesses who are doing lower than a certain AOV, it is the only way forwards, right? Because if, like I said at the start, they have to have that profit off the second or third purchase, right? We've seen loads of subscription brands who they get by because they raise hundreds of millions, like HelloFresh and businesses like that. They discount so heavily because to retain people, they know they've got to keep them over a certain amount of time to make the money back and be profitable. And now we're
yeah,
seeing it a lot more with e-commerce, where I'm not saying you can't be profitable on that first purchase, but it's much more difficult. And if your average order value is lower than 100, it might be impossible soon. So you're
yeah.
going to have to make sure you're giving people a good experience, and you're working in non-siloed teams to work to bring those people back again.
Yeah, exactly. I think the change will come bit by bit, of course, because it's that saying that need teaches a plan, so necessity will make you find a solution. So if the
Yeah,
if the need is high, eventually people will wake up to this new reality, because at this moment we are seeing this approach, like people are trying new ad channels, people are switching agencies as they are to blame, uh, are trying new ad campaigns, messaging and whatever, which at the end of the day, messaging is crucially important, the creatives are crucially important, but also in order to do those creatives, you need to understand the behavior of your best customers. So I think
Yeah.
CVO, it's important not only because it's helping you make your customers come back to buy again, but also it's allowing you to improve your whole marketing, so you can acquire your best customers by changing your messaging, and also by pushing the products that are the most sticky, right? So that's
Yeah.
the double the double effect of focusing on customer value optimization. So will, as we are
So
yes, please,
I
you,
just
you
want to
wanted to
say,
add
so
something, please. Yeah,
yeah, just something that I've we've spoken about before previously. Those like toxic products,
yeah,
right? Those products where you just work out that, well, you use your tools, you get told what it is, but figuring out which products do people buy, which actually causes them to churn, right, and actually causes them a problem. And it
yeah,
could be, you might find that it's you've actually got a faulty product, but if you're not getting that feedback, you don't know. But you might just find that um, the messaging is wrong. If you're, for some reason, I've been looking a lot into teas and hot drinks and things that alternatives to coffee. If you promise that this drink is going to affect a certain aspect of someone's life and it doesn't, because you've got that messaging wrong, that's going to cause people to churn and not come back because they think
yeah,
your products don't work. So
yeah,
that's something that I've been thinking about, the last couple of years, probably since we first spoke about it. But yeah, that's another little thing just to look into, just to see whether you've got those products that people don't stick around for, and likewise the products where if they buy this product, you're pretty confident they're gonna stick around.
yeah. It's
So
about the
actually,
expectations that you set, and of course, as you've said about that company which is selling computers, uh, it's about the instructions, right? How you instruct the customer to make progress with the products that you're selling, because as Bob Mesta beautifully stated, people are not buying products, they are buying ways to make progress in their lives. So
yeah,
if your product is a bridge from a certain reality, which is make them struggle, to a new reality, to a desired outcome, you might want to understand how to assist them to get to that desired outcome, many times by how to use their product, how many times a day, when to buy those uh, when to drink, when to consume the product, or how to consume the product, how to use the product, when to replenish it, when can you expect for results. Because for instance, in, I don't know, in nutrition, vitamins, health, food industry, it's all about let's say being very specific about how the customers will extract the value from the products that you're selling, because if they get the value, your customer lifetime value will be higher. It's all about
yeah.
them, not about you.
So I've got an example that came up on my podcast actually. So I spoke to Dan Shun, the head of CRM at AirUp. So AirUp is a scent-based water flavor system, I
Mhm.
suppose. So
Yeah,
instead of using cordial or something, basically instead of the water being flavored, you're actually smelling something and
yeah, I
drinking
know
water.
about that. Mhm.
Yeah,
I,
cool. So they found that if people don't set it up correctly, they don't really experience the scent, and that negatively
mhm.
impacts that experience. So they put so much emphasis on that education piece now to make sure that when people receive their product, they know how to set it up properly, they get that right, then they get that the perfect first sip, which is what they talk about. And that's really, really important for all the reasons we've talked about, but also you almost like you have to get it right straight away, because if someone gets it wrong at first and then maybe contacts you or whatever to figure it out, they've still left with that feeling of, well, it's not that good a product, or it's actually more, it's a bit of hassle to use actually. Whereas if they just get it right the first time because you've given them those instructions, it's easy, it's great.
Yeah.
So it's really
It's like in
important that,
sales. It's like in sales, you need to treat the objections before they appear. Yeah, before they ask you, you
yeah,
need to already treat the objections and state how to use it, why you should be using it, and when can you expect the results. Will, as we are approaching the end of our event together, let me know what excites you right now, what you are working on, what's exciting for you in the future.
um, it's a good question. I'm doing a lot on like making things simple, right? So that's kind of my focus at the moment. So I have this whole thing about, all right, usability, anxiety, motivation as 3 levers you can use for conversion. Making a website easier to use, dealing with questions and concerns, and then exciting people about a product. But it's so easy, and I see this a lot when brand teams get too involved. I'm
Yeah.
not. I don't want to go on a big rant about brand, but I'm not the biggest brand fan. You see, when brand gets too involved and they start using messaging on a website which just doesn't speak to a customer, the messaging overcomplicates things and it causes problems. So I'm looking a lot really into this kind of keep things simple. Explain things. My mum used to say whenever we did exams, like treat the examiner like an idiot, right? Don't take risks. Just make sure that you are definitely explaining this thing to them and not assuming that they've understood what you've said and the way you've said it.
Yeah.
So this is a big focus for me at the moment. Keep things really simple. Make sure that when someone reads that headline on a product page or reads instructions for a product, there's just no way they can say, oh, does it mean this or this? They should just be cool. That's it, done.
Love it. Yeah. I'm also a big fan of simplicity. It was that saying from Mark Twain that I haven't got enough time to write you a simple letter, and that's why I've wrote you a long one. So yeah, the more the simple it is, the easier it gets. All right,
Yeah.
so I think we have some questions as I'm getting this feedback from my man Flo over here. Let's see what do you have an indication of average response rate for NPS surveys or others? So Edgar, I think we have a lot of benchmarks, and you should be aiming for 15 to 20% response rate on the NPS, so that you can keep it relevant. Of course, if your business doesn't have enough orders, you should be thinking of alternating the channels that you are using, not only sending emails and reminders of those emails, but maybe SMS or even ad campaigns. Our solution at OmniConvert Reveal, it's having this capacity to help brands to use email, SMS, and also ads in order to get NPS before the delivery and post delivery and post usage of the product at these 3 moments throughout the customer journey, which is crucially important. All right, so I guess that's it for now. Will, any question that I haven't been so inspired to ask you today in our meeting?
Apart from where to contact me and all that stuff, but I'm sure that will come.
Yeah.
No, I think we've covered a fair bit. I guess a really important thing that I kind of mentioned earlier is that CRO is not just A/B testing and improving conversion rates on the website. It's just generally kind of growth for a business. It is a growth role. It can be so influential on other channels because we tend to do a lot more research. To be honest, like we do a lot of that customer research, those interviews, those surveys.
Yeah.
And that information can be passed on to email, social, customer service, and in return from customer service. So there's a lot more to it. And like we talked about, the actual post-purchase experience as well, right? Optimizing the opening of a package, right? That's still that's still conversions. Conversion doesn't just end at that purchase. There's still work to be done.
Yeah. That's true. I'm looking forward to seeing you, Will, becoming an bit by bit, because you are, even though you don't realize, you are doing customer value optimization. So eventually, I think you will turn out into an evangelist for CVO. But not only time will tell us this. So, Will, if someone want to get a hold of you, where can they find you? Are you on LinkedIn, Twitter? What kind of medium are you using to share your wisdom nuggets with the world?
Yes, if you want to get in touch, email me, will@customerswhoclick.com, or get in touch on LinkedIn. I share loads of content on LinkedIn, so that's probably the best place to follow me, to speak to me. I've also got a podcast, the Customers Who Click podcast, where it's a weekly interview with various marketing experts, sometimes service providers, sometimes brands, hearing about their stories and what they're up to.
Excellent. Great. Then that was it today, folks. Thanks a lot for watching us. Thanks a lot, Will, for being part of the CVO Live event. And I'm looking forward to hearing good news from you. And we'll see each other in the next episode. Until then, all the best from Bucharest.